Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us Across the Fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. One of the most basic tenets of parenting is keeping your kids safe. And the best way to keep them safe is to teach them. Teaching safety is critical, and it's especially true when it comes to power equipment like lawnmowers or chainsaws. For children who grow up on a farm, whether it's a farm business or a hobby farm, safety is a top priority. Kids need to be taught about everything from tractors to ATVs to fire prevention and handling livestock. The UVM Extension 4-H program is a statewide leader in teaching youth farm safety. Every year, 4-H hosts safety programs for young people. Rebecca Gollin tells us more.
We want to talk a little bit about animal first aid. We'll have a little bit of hands-on.
Safety was the topic at a recent workshop for Vermont youth.
Today we're at the Ballard Farm in Georgia, Vermont with the UVM Extension 4-H program Farm Safety Camp. Today we focused on a variety of topics including fire safety, farm equipment safety, ATV safety, first aid around the farm and home, livestock and machinery safety.
The event was open to participants ages 12 to 16, whether they're in a 4-H club or not. Ella McAllister from Morrisville joined her club, the Green Mountain Movers, just this year.
This is my first year, and so far it's been really welcoming, really fun, and I have a calf, and her name is Fancy, and she's about 4 months old, and she's at this barn, and I walk her usually every afternoon, and this Sunday we have a show, so I've been trying to train her and kind of get her in a habit of walking more easily.
Spending time in the barn and working with animals has made McAllister more aware of safety issues that could occur. She attended the workshop to brush up on the skills she's been learning in her 4-H club.
We had been talking about first aid and safety at the barn, so it's been a really nice experience so that I know now what everybody's talking about.
That's got it.
The day started with a demonstration about fire safety.
Okay, grab your extinguisher.
We think particularly it's vitally important for the children to learn how to operate fire extinguishers.
Kevin Borden is a senior farm safety representative from Cooperative Insurance Company who sponsored the event.
We always tell them when we're doing these trainings that, if it's something small, call 911, do all of that stuff beforehand, and then take the fire extinguisher and try and put out what a small fire, let's say. And we always tell them if it's growing too large, get out. We can always replace the building, but we can't replace you.
But yeah, just give it a good yank and you'll get it.
I learned that if there's wet hay and you're tilling it up and you have it, and then you go to roll it into a bale, it will attract moisture into the middle, and then it will become heated, and it will start to smolder for a while if it's just sitting there. So there was a hay tester that you stuck in the middle, and it was like a thermostat kind of thing, so on the end, and it was really cool to see that. And then we also got to test fire extinguishers, and because some of the kids hadn't used them before, I hadn't, so it was really cool to do that.
How does she get in and out?
Along with the demonstrations and activities about first aid and animal safety, the group had the chance to get up close and personal with a tractor, an experience for themselves, another aspect of staying safe on a farm.
It's really when we were testing how loud the tractors were. I didn't realize that's how loud they would be, and it's not good for your ears.
Something I really didn't think about was the hearing with machines. That didn't really make me obviously you use headphones when you're mowing the lawn or something, but I didn't really realize that machines really can damage your hearing, and you can't get that damage back.
Organizers hope that participants will leave knowing the basics of what to do in an emergency.
Maybe they're home alone and they cut their finger, or someone who's working around livestock and is injured, or who sees someone else who's injured, It's not necessarily teaching them all the steps to do, but teaching them to be able to think clearly and to know how to reach out to get those resources that they need for help.
Be aware of your surroundings, be aware of the equipment that you're operating. If you are a farm owner or operator, all it takes is a second to get wrapped up in a PTO, to get tangled in some piece of machinery.
The youth here today are getting tools and advice to take with them, but it's safe to say that this information is good for everyone. In Georgia, I'm Rebecca Gollin with Across the Fence.
For more information about youth safety and other opportunities in 4-H, call the State 4-H office toll-free at 1-800-571-0668 or check the extension website that's listed on your screen. Fairs and field days are now underway. While you may not be growing the biggest pumpkin, perhaps you have some flowers that are worthy of a blue ribbon. You don't need a green thumb to win, but a few tips from the judges may help. Here's longtime flower judge and UVM horticulture specialist Leonard Perry.
One of the first things you want to do is cut early in the morning when the plants are hydrated, they have plenty of water in them. If it hasn't rained, if they are dry, you can't cut in the morning. You want to make sure you water them real well and then leave them a few hours so they can get that water up in the plant so they're nice and turgid. Then you want to cut them at the right stage. If you cut them too far along, they'll be faded when they come in. And one of the things that we judges look for is if a flower is kind of unusual and maybe the only one, we cut a little more slack. Where there's something that's real common like zinnias or sunflowers, tend to be a little bit more picky. And here's a good example of a sunflower that's not quite as uniform. It's still very beautiful. It's kind of a different color, but you see all the stamens, the little flower parts aren't quite open here, whereas the one right over next to it here is almost perfectly uniform all the way around. That, I think, would be a blue ribbon winner right there. So the stage of cutting, making sure they're nice and uniform, is one of the key things. Of course, when you cut, you want to get them right in water. Even better is flower preservative. If you can get some at a local florist, they have little packets, very inexpensive. That really will help keep the flowers a lot longer. The other thing to watch for is read the directions. It calls for one stem. These have one stem. This one has two stems. Somebody didn't read the directions, so unfortunately that one will probably be disqualified because you can't really compare two stems to one stem. So if nothing else, to make sure you follow the directions. So once you have the cut flowers, you brought them in, they're in good shape. You can also arrange with them. Let's go take a look at some good examples of arrangements. So once you have the flowers, you can arrange them. Now, you can be real elaborate, it can be very simple. There are many examples of both. It can be very creative, like someone has done here. They've taken, using all kinds of containers, they've taken looks like a wire bicycle, covered it with moss, and wrapped it with the sphagnum moss, and used the coneflower heads off of coneflower. So think of all the plant parts you might use here, the bicycle. They've carried that forward through in the arrangement, so nice continuity there. Great colors, the orange, cosmos and some marigolds against, and rudbeckia in the middle there against this nice green moss bed. One of the main things you want to do, though, is cover the foam. Usually you put these in florist foam, which is something you can get at a florist. It absorbs lots of water. That's what they use for cut flowers. That's what you use. But make sure that's covered up. That's one of the things we look for as judges, not to see any of the stuff that we shouldn't see, if you will, like the foam. They've done that with the sedum here. Just very nice. Now, there are many different types of arrangements you can do in classes. You can find those in the handbook. Miniatures are one of my favorite. They're just so lovely. Some are just so small. And I love this one with the little white Queen Anne's lace and little blue flowers. It goes with the blue and the white there on the cup. Just a lovely little thing. This is a little bit larger and more open. This lovely little swan. That's a very nice one, I think, with the ageranum in it. This one is lovely in its sense, but it's kind of like a pincushion. It's really short. It needs to be in proportion, any of these arrangements, to the container. This one's pretty big, and the flowers should probably be, again, half or twice as high to have a little bit more proportion. But again, as with the cut flowers, read the directions.
Leonard and I have been judging for about 19 years now. And some of the things I'm looking for in an arrangement as a judge, I'll start with this one here in a clear glass container with water. First and foremost, I'm looking for quality of the flower. I want to see blemish-free, no insect damage, nice, cut at just the right time. Secondly, I don't want to see any foliage in the water. It has to be clean. That way the arrangement lasts longer and it looks a lot nicer. This is really a really nice example of what we're looking for. The composition is beautiful. There's a proportion with the container. You look at how big the container is, how tall the arrangement. Some of these are placed deep in for nice depth. It draws your eye in. Nice colors. This one is actually, the category was shades of one color, and this is executed beautifully. This up here, I think it's a harvest category, and it's absolutely, again, just lovely. The arrangement complements the container perfectly. If you look closely, she or he has some incredible elements in here with the caps of the acorn, just adds a lot of interest and texture, and the colors are just lovely and really evokes a fall arrangement. These are two examples of some really nice entries that we've gotten. A lot of times people come in and they wonder why they didn't get a blue. And the comments we try to be really constructive. Here's what we were looking for, here's maybe what was missing. That the flowers were wilted when we saw them, and that's kind of tough. We just can't give a blue with wilted flowers. So we're trying to educate people so that they know what we're looking for and what anybody would be looking for in a good arrangement. And actually, over the years, I've seen the quality really creep up, and I hope that maybe that was had something to do with our comments, but the quality has just been exceptional at the fair. Some of these could be professional arrangements. They're lovely, really, really nice.
Our thanks to the judges for their tips. Once again, thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard.